Perfect. So let's continue now. Let me know if you can see my screen. Okay. So we're gonna go back now. So you see, we are into strings and math operation. This was the problem we were having CD in. So who can tell me how I can CD out in order for me to start another one? Because now we are done with string and math operations. Now I want to go to array operations. So I'm gonna, because you can see here, I'm already inside string and math operation. That's where I am in the terminal. So this string and math operation is inside C# React course. So if you look at here, you're going to see this is C# React course. That's the mother folder, the parent folder. But this is string and math operations. So now I want to create another project here. So I'm simply going to come here because I'm inside this inner string and math operations. I'm going to say cd space dot dot. It simply means go out of this smaller, go out of this inner folder and go into the outer one. So once I press the enter key, you can see I'm now inside C# React course. No longer inside C# React course / string and math operation. I'm now inside this outer folder. So it is here now that I can create the other project, the console application for array operations. So I'm going to simply say .NET, please help me and create a new console application. Very soon we're going to start creating web APIs, backend web APIs in C#. So it's going to be a different command, but for now we're just creating console applications. So help me create a new console application and name it array operations. So if I press the enter key, it's going to create it now. Okay, now you can see here array operations. So it has created this new .NET, this new console application. Now if I go into this console application, I'm going to see the program.cs, which is where I write my codes. So I'm going to remove this hello world here so that I can start typing in my codes here. And now if I want to run the code, you know that I have to now cd first into this application, which is what? Array operations. Very, very important. So I press the enter key. Now I'm inside array operations. Okay. So this is where I will now start. If I want to run, I can now do .NET.run. If I run it on the outer folder, I will not be able to run the program well. So I have to be inside here in order for me to run the program. So that is very, very important. So now let's look at arrays in C#. Let's look at what? Arrays in C#. No, now we've looked at strings. We've looked at strings and we've looked at integers. We've looked at booleans. Booleans, we say that booleans are the ones that have the value of true or false. We've looked at characters or chars that have single letters. Now let's look at arrays are a collection of values of the same type. Arrays are a collection of elements of the same type. Elements, you can also call it values. So arrays are a collection of elements or values of the same type. So they have to be of the same data type. The elements of the array has to be of the same data type. And in order for us to declare an array, so first thing we do is that we must declare the type of the element. So let's say it's a collection of numbers. I'm going to say int. So when I say int, it simply means that the data type of the elements of this array is going to be integers. So I'm going to give the name of the array. So make sure you use square brackets. Then I'm going to give the name of the array. I'm going to say scores. So it's always good you use a plural because it's actually collection of elements. So once I say scores, I'm going to now give the values or the elements. So inside curly bracket this time, I'm going to indicate 70, 85, and 90. 70, 85, and 90. Okay. So these are the elements of the array. So array has to be collection. Had it been I want to represent a single value, I would have used normal integer. But because they are collection, then I use int array. This simply means int array. That means the data type of this collection is integer. So whenever you have collection, that's when you use array. So you can tell me a string that I can use as a collection. String, array. Can give me a good example of string array that I can use. What will I want to represent? So I can want to represent something like 5 colors. So 5 colors simply means favorite color. I can choose my favorite colors and put them in array. I can say that my favorite colors are, so for me in particular, I love colors like I like ash. Oh, my favorite color is actually white. Then I also love ash color. Yeah. And I love black also. Okay. So whenever you want to collect a collection of similar data type or values, then you use array. So if I want to represent my favorite colors, I cannot use a single string because colors, it has to be collection. It has to be more than one. Then it has to be an array. So such data, whenever you want to pick data that are collections, you use arrays. Okay, so those are the two typical types of arrays. This is an integer array. So if the values, the elements are integer, then you have to put this int first. If the values are string, you have to put string first. Then you must indicate that it's an array by using these square brackets. Then you put in the elements inside the curly brackets. For C sharp, that is for C sharp. That is how it is done for C sharp. Okay. Now let's start the operations on array. So what and what can we do to this array? What and what can we do to this array? So the number one thing we can do to this array is to loop through the array. So we can loop through the array to find the elements or to do something to the array. So number one, operations. So I'm going to say array operations now. And the number one operation we're going to be looking at now is loop through the array. Loop through simply means to go through the array. Loop through an array. So how do you go through the array and maybe spit out the elements? So you can do that using the for each loop, which we've not looked at. You know, we looked at the for loop, but we did not look at the for each loop. So as we are going, you're going to be seeing some new concepts. So under looping, we have the for loop, we have the while loop, we have the for each loop. So we can easily use the for each loop to loop through an array. So once you say for each, then in brackets, you're going to use the data type and pick out of one of the type in the array. So if you are talking about array of scores, so one score should be a score. So you say score in scores. So that is how you write it, score in scores. That means write out every score inside scores, inside the scores array. score in scores. So write out every score or do the same thing to every score in the scores array. So what do you want to do? I simply want to console.writeLine the score. So that is what I want to do. I want to console dot write line the score. So that's what I want to do. I want to console.writeLine the score. So when you're looping simply means you're performing an iterative or repetitive action. So you want for every score inside this scores array, I want to just write it out. That's the instruction. That's what the instructions say. For every score, just console.write it out. But it could be any other thing that I could have done to it, but I just want to console.write it out. So I'm gonna run this application by saying .net.run to see the implication of this. Okay, so I have some error. Expected A. Okay, you can see here we're supposed to have semicolon here, and here we're supposed to have semicolon. Very, very important. Once you don't do the right thing, it's always gonna give you an error when you run the code. Okay, so I'm gonna rerun again and see whether everything is okay. Okay. Okay, so you can see here 70, 85, 90. So it's speeding this out line by line. So we can do the same thing for the colors. So I can simply copy this, come down here, paste it out, and instead of having int score, you know that these colors are strings. So I'm gonna make sure I put here string, but instead of score, I'm gonna say color. In the name of the array that we're considering here is what? 5 colors. That's the name of the array, 5 colors. So for each color in 5 color, console.write them out. So console.write that very score. So repeat that very color, repeat it for all the colors. So if I run this now, I'm gonna have all the color printed out to my console. So that is how you loop through. If looping through simply means going through the array and doing the same thing to it, going through the array and doing the same thing to the elements of the array. So you can see now I have white, ash, and black. So that is very, very important, being able to loop through an array, because you're going to find out that when we go deeper into data structures and algorithm, you're going to be able to go through these arrays. Now, with this now, we can find the highest score in this score. We can do that. Once we can loop through, we can find the highest score if we want to. And that is going to be an assignment. But we can also sort an array by using a simple, so we can sort an array by simply saying array.sort. So once you say array dot sort, then in brackets you put the name of the array that you want to sort. So the array that we have now is scores. So once I do that and save this, I'm gonna be able to sort this array. So instead of having it as 70, okay, it's already sorted, but sorting simply means that now you're gonna have from the smallest to the biggest. So we can use that to sort the array. Now I'm going to give a simple assignment on arrays. and I'm going to call it array practice. Then under that, we're expected to calculate the average score. So calculate the average score. So for you to be able to do that, I'm going to put this as a comment. So calculate the average score. Then we're going to look at reverse an array. So similar to how you sort an array, you can also do what? Reverse and reverse an array. And finally, the last assignment will be to count the number of pass and to fail. Okay. Count pass slash fail. So this is the assignment that is under this. So with this assignment, you're exposed to more operations in arrays. Okay. And this is where we're going to stop. So in the
So
next
please, I don't
class,
understand the count, pass, and fail.
okay. So this is simply when you go through an array. So
I mean, like the count, the pass. How should it be done? Like, are we giving a numbers then um indicate which one is to pass and which one is to fail?
yes, yes. So you'll be given a collection. It could come in any way. You can
Okay.
just have a collection or an array of string array that has passes and has fails. So you will be asked to count the number of pass and count the number of fails. So anywhere you see pass, you can say that you now have one pass. You go through again, you see another pass, two pass, number three pass. So you can have three passes and four fails.
Okay, so I understand now.
Yeah, so you should be able to loop through all these things. They are teaching you how to loop. You have to loop through. So as you're looping, you're counting. Depending on what you see when you're looping, you're taking it down. So that is what that is. Okay. So in subsequent
Okay.
classes, we're going to be looking at dictionary, which is another data type. And with that, we'll look also more into these arrays, strings, and numbers in a bigger way. Okay. So try and do these assignments and submit them to push them to your GitHub and send me the link so I can look through them and see what you are able to do. Okay. So that is where we'll come to the end of today's class. In subsequent classes, we're going to be diving deeper into all these. But these are very, very important because these data types like strings, numbers, arrays, boolean, every data that you have in this world will always fall to be one of those data types. We're also going to be looking at advanced ones like stats, queues, and other data structures. But these basic ones, these primitive and reference types, they are very, very important because you're going to be seeing them a lot when you're manipulating data in C sharp. And it's very, very important that you know all these operations, all the strings operations, the math operations, the array operations. When we do dictionary, the dictionary operations, okay? So all these are basics of programming. They're going to look boring for now, but once you start hitting it the right way, once we start going deeper and start doing some applications with them, that's when you get